Hello everyone, it's been a minute for sure. It's been a super busy year and I hope you guys have all been having a happy and safe holiday year so far. It is currently just a few days before Thanksgiving as I'm filming this, and I'm just enjoying the very gloomy weather and looking forward to the holidays with our families and just super excited for the holiday season this year. I wanted to do a review on a book that I read a few months ago, but I just really enjoyed it and had kind of a unique perspective on it, so I wanted to talk to you all about it. If you saw one of my earlier videos from a year ago, I believe, I reviewed one of the first official steampunk novels called Morlock Night by K.W. Jeter. After that, I read a more recent steampunk novel published by Jim Butcher, and it is none other than the Aeronaut's Windlass. I really enjoyed this book. The reason why I read it was I knew that Jim Butcher was a prolific author in fantasy, and he's really famous for the Dresden Files if you haven't heard of him, and I heard he was an excellent writer, and I really wanted to see what it was all about. So I stumbled across the Aeronaut's Windlass. I didn't know anything about it, had no context. I didn't even know it existed, but apparently it was published in 2015, so like 9 years ago. Without further ado, I'm going to review this a little bit, and as just heads up, there will be some spoilers. I typically don't get into too many spoilers here on my channel, but just as a heads up, just in case for some plot stuff, because there is a lot with the plot and a lot of characters, so I could potentially dive into some spoiler territory. So just a heads up if you haven't read The Aeronaut's Windlass. This follows a captain called Captain Grimm, and he is a, well, for lack of a better word again, captain on the USS Predator, I believe. We open with him on a really intense airship raid of an enemy vessel. It's all going according to plan. He's a seasoned captain. He knows what he's doing. He's no stranger to the skies, but everything, of course, has to go incredibly wrong. He nearly destroys his vessel. He's in debt to the government, and we find out that he also has kind of a bad past, as he was basically blacklisted from the Avalon military. So basically how this world operates is there are like 3 different islands, I should say, in the sky that are all different enemy territories. Like, for example, you're on the Spire of Aurora, which is the enemy spire, I believe. And the spire that we're on currently with our characters is Spire Avalon. And there's an upper and lower Avalon. I think there's Avalon Habel and Avalon Morning. I think Morning is the upper and Habel is the lower. So the setting is a sky world. If you've played video games like Skyward Sword or even Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild in the Zelda series, that's kind of what I envisioned as far as how some of the, I guess you could say, sky platforms look. I started to read this when we were on a plane going to Colorado for a wedding. I'm not the best flyer, so I wanted to read something that would kind of immerse me into that kind of epic, like, sky battle feel, so that I could feel a little bit more just comfortable and maybe entertained on the plane. And it worked. As we hit the turbulence, I was just envisioning that I was on the USS Predator and just having like a fun time, I guess. Back to the plot and the characters. Captain Grimm is the main one, but we open with another character, and she is the daughter of an aristocratic family that is basically the manufacturer of some of their gems that they use to power technology in this world. The technology is really centered around magic, and it's not a very like heavily explained magic. It's not super technical, but we follow Captain Grimm and then this young aristocratic girl who really wants to join the military. Basically, she wants to go to military academy. I think she's in like college level age, and it's her goal to kind of be a top engineer. She's brilliant when it comes to anything engineering. So she has this kind of noble but also kind of this egotistical mindset. She's definitely a little bit of a brat when we first meet her, but that kind of gets better as the book goes on. Okay, so you have Gwen from the aristocratic family, Bridget from the poorer family, and then you have Benedict, who is Gwen's cousin, and he is more of a seasoned fighter. He has some more military experience. He's a bit older. And then back to Captain Grimm. He's kind of not really looking to totally reconcile with the government. We don't really know what happened with him for like a while. We just know that he took the fall for something that happened that was a betrayal in the fleet. He kind of operates these rogue defense fleets to just kind of keep the enemy at bay, and basically what they're doing is they're trying to undermine the cargo vessels. So they're just trying to dismantle any of the Auroran airships to hopefully keep them from building up, you know, better weapons to attack Spire Avalon. And then you have these other two characters. It's a mentor who's an older man who is kind of like a mystic person, and then this younger girl who is his apprentice. And they're very much like on a whole other planet mentally. And I don't mean that rudely. They really do address this in the book, that because they're spiritualists, I believe, and they really interact with the crystal energy, which is the technology in this world, on a different level. They kind of see the world differently. They don't think like us. They're more in tune with these energies. There's a whole prophecy aspect that kind of comes into play later on in the book, and it definitely ends in a way where you know that it was setting up for book 2. Before I kind of go on with maybe some more plot stuff, I want to get into who this book is for. The way that I'm kind of telling my friends about it and my family is it's definitely Treasure Planet for adults is the vibe that I felt with this. When I was growing up, Treasure Planet was one of my favorite movies to watch with my sister. We loved that and Atlantis. I was really happy because I loved that movie so much, and I wanted to find something that kind of replicated that in maybe a little bit more grown-up sense. And this definitely was satisfactory to me in that way. There are so many characters. I think that, you know, one of my criticisms of this book is that, again, there are a lot of characters, and that's really typical of epic fantasy, so there's really not like a problem there. I think it's more just like you have to be aware that it's going to change like scenes a lot, and you're going to see different character settings. There definitely are more interesting characters than others sometimes, but overall I like all of the characters. This definitely is a more plot-driven novel, so at the same time, while the characters are interesting, they do have their clear motives and their clear relationships. We don't go as deeply into a lot of their perspectives as we would maybe with like a different genre of book, and that's okay. Like, we're reading more for the plot here, and it definitely delivers on that front. The big bad monster is kind of revealed to not maybe be the ultimate. I actually found her to be an interesting villain. She's not like the classic just like evil for evil, but she is pretty in the extreme. I think another criticism, just to go back to the criticism, I'm sorry I'm all over the map here, is that the ending kind of feels a bit muddy to me. Everything kind of happens all at once very quickly. And then, spoiler alert for this one, sorry, cats come in to kind of save the day. I think I definitely favored the action in the first few chapters more so. I loved being on the airship. And towards the end, before that epic battle scene in Habel Landing, I believe it is, we do see more like airship action as far as like, you know, engineering going wrong, being inside the engine room, and seeing like how high stress being an engineer on an airship actually is. Sorry, I went on a few tangents here. I was remembering things that I was talking about it, and I really did enjoy this, and I'm glad I kind of took some time to review this because I wanted to think about it for a while, because a lot did happen in this book. And as soon as I put it down, I was like, wow, I want to read the second book. So then I did pick up the second book, and I got it in hardback because isn't this just such a beautiful cover? I just love pink, and I love like the shiny kind of, you know, design of this. Barnes & Noble actually ran out of this where I live. I was gonna buy it from there. I walked in and just was looking for it, but they actually didn't have it anymore. So I did this one off Amazon, which was probably a little bit cheaper than if I would have bought it in Barnes & Noble. I just really wanted to buy it to have it. It's different than, I do like this, whoa. I do like this paperback copy too of the Aeronaut's Windlass. I thought it was kind of just a cool one. I liked having this paperback. I don't remember what the hardback version of this looks like, but I think I will keep them both instead of getting a hardback for this one too, because I just like the contrast of the two. Anyway, thank you for watching. It was really fun to get back into this, and although it was kind of all over the place, I had a good time just chatting with you about the Aeronaut's Windlass and the Cinder Spires series as a whole. This is what this is called, the Cinder Spires. And let me know your thoughts. Have you read the Aeronaut's Windlass? Have you read The Olympian Affair yet? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What do you think about Jim Butcher? Full of questions, but let me know if you read this book and if you're going to read the second one, and I will talk to you in another video soon. Okay, thanks guys.